So the last thing to cover in terms of blood types is how to interpret a blood typing test. So you have this patient, they need a blood transfusion, but you don't know what blood type they are, so you don't know what kind of donor blood would be compatible. So you give them a blood typing test, and what this entails is taking some blood and putting anti-A antibodies into it, anti-B antibodies into it, anti-RHD antibodies into it, and then you just see what attacks it. So this is going to draw from, this video will draw from what we've already covered about antibodies and how antibodies attack foreign blood types. So the important thing to remember is that when we're interpreting a blood typing test, we're artificially adding anti-whatever blood antibodies to the blood sample. This is not indicative of which antibodies the patient has. What it's doing is, what we're looking at is what kind of antibodies attack it. Antibodies, remember, are specialized to attack very specific foreign substances. If somebody has blood that is attacked by anti-A antibodies, that means their blood type is blood type A, right? Because the antibody is specifically anti-A, it attacks blood type A. That patient does not have anti-A antibodies in their blood because they have type A blood. Remember, we don't make antibodies that are anti ourselves, that are antagonistic to ourselves. So these are artificially added from other people's blood just to see which kinds of antibodies target it. Anti-A antibodies target type A blood. Anti-B antibodies target type B blood. Anti-RHD antibodies target RHD positive blood. This works like this. Remember, if this person is this is their red blood cells. If this person is type A, which we've been indicating the A glycoprotein with little triangles, because triangles look like A's. This person, so this is type A blood. So what we're going to do is we're going to add different kinds of antibodies. So we're going to add, so we take it in a test tube, add anti-A antibodies to some of it. Oops. Antibodies. I remember the anti-A antibodies I'm going to draw like this because they bind to and attack the A glycoprotein. Some of that blood we're going to add anti-B antibodies to. And the anti-B antibodies, remember I was drawing the B glycoprotein like this little round shape in the other videos, so we'll keep it like that. Anti-B antibodies are shaped to bind to the B glycoprotein. And so they'll bind to and attack the B glycoprotein. And then we'll also add RHD antibodies. And this is a different blood group. Let's say this person is blood type A positive. This is type A positive blood. The positive means they're positive for the RHD protein, or glycoprotein. So these are the glycoprotein A, which makes them blood type A. This is the glycoprotein RHD, which makes them positive for RHD. All right, and let's draw the RHD antibodies. These are just representations, but like this. So they bind to this. Okay, like that. So this is the RHD glycoprotein here, and the antibody that binds to it and attacks it. So if you add these different antibodies, you're looking for which ones attack the blood. So what does that look like? Well, agglutination. Remember we talked about agglutination. When antibodies bind to agglutination, when they bind to a pathogen or foreign blood that they don't think, but that they treat as a pathogen, one of the things they do to pathogens or things that they are treating as pathogens is they agglutinate them, meaning they clump them up. So they take a whole bunch of them and clump them up in one space. Now that's so that the white blood cells can come sweep through and destroy a whole bunch of these toxic substances all at once. These antibodies are treating this foreign blood as a toxic substance, so they're going to agglutinate the blood. So clump up the foreign particles. In this case, it's foreign blood, right? So what you'll see is you'll see a clumping of the blood, and you can just look at that with the naked eye and see it. So what do you expect to see for someone who is type A plus blood? You'll see agglutination here, because the anti-A antibodies are antagonistic to A. They attack type A. So the anti-A antibodies are going to attack the blood. So agglutination, you're going to see it here. Anti-B antibodies, you'll see nothing. And nothing unusual. Now this is A plus blood. This person is positive for RHD. So when you add the anti-RHD antibodies that attack that RHD, you're going to see agglutination also. And I'll circle the outcomes here of our tests of adding these various antibody types here. So if you see agglutination when you add anti-A antibodies, no agglutination when you add anti-B antibodies, and you do see agglutination again when you add the anti-RHD antibodies, what you know is that this person has the A glycoprotein on their blood that the anti-A antibodies are attacking. They do not have the B glycoprotein on their blood, so the anti-B antibodies are not attacking. They do have the RHD glycoprotein on their blood, and the anti-RHD antibodies are attacking it. So let's look at some examples in the next couple slides so we can get a handle on this. So here's a real-world sample. This is what these tests actually look like. So you can clearly see that this blood, here, let me get back to black here. So this is the anti-A, the well-labeled A. That means it's the anti-A antibody was added to this part. This is all one person's blood. So anti-A antibody added. This is all one patient's blood. So some of the blood was put in this well. The anti-A antibody was added. You see no agglutination. What does that mean? That means they do not have glycoprotein A, not type A. Not type A. Okay? Here, you've added anti-B antibodies. That means antibodies that attack blood type B. Here you see agglutination. You see the evidence of antibody attack. Oops, agglutination. I can't write and talk at the same time. Agglutination. So what does that mean? That means that this person does have glycoprotein B, and the anti-B antibodies are attacking the B glycoprotein, right? Yes, blood type B. So here you've added the anti-RHD antibodies. So added anti-RHD antibodies. No agglutination. No clumping. So what does that mean? Well, the anti-RHD antibodies are not attacking. That means that there's no RHD there for them to attack. No RHD. So what is this blood type? So we have no to blood type A, yes to blood type B. So for the ABO blood group, we got blood type B. And we have no agglutination, no RHD, so we're negative for the RHD. So this person, their blood type's B negative. Now let's look at another one here. So this one I'm showing you the blood type in advance. So there's no agglutination here. No agglutination. That means no attack. Yes, agglutination for both of these. So no agglutination for A, yes agglutination for B, yes agglutination for D. So this is the anti-A antibody shown first. They're always shown first, even when they're not labeled. It says A here. So anti-A antibodies are added here. So anti-A antibodies are added in the first well. Anti-B antibodies are added here. And anti-RHD antibodies are added in the last well. So in the first well, we've added anti-A antibodies, and there's no attack. So the antibodies that attack type A did not attack. That means there's no type A here. Okay. So no A glycoprotein. All right, now let's look at the second well. In the second well, we've added anti-B antibodies. That means we've added antibodies that attack blood type B. They're anti-B. They're antagonistic to B. And they did attack. They only attack B, so if they're attacking, that means that B must be there. The B glycoprotein must be there. So yes to B. And then in the third well, we've added anti-RHD antibodies. Antibodies that attack the RHD glycoprotein. We see agglutination. That means that they are attacking. That means that there is the RHD antibody there because there is the RHD glycoprotein there because these antibodies are anti-RHD. They only attack RHD. So if they are attacking, it means there is RHD in this blood sample. So this is yes to RHD. It is there in this person's blood. So what is this blood type? No to A, yes to B. So we know that this is blood type B when it comes to the ABO blood group system. And then yes to RHD, so where they're positive for RHD. So this person is B positive. Another example. This will be my last example here. So here, these wells are labeled. You've added the anti-A antibody here. This person's blood is agglutinating, it's clumping up, which means that this blood has glycoprotein A, which the anti-A antibody attacks. So the anti-A antibody is attacking, this is blood type A. Anti-B antibody is not attacking, no agglutination for the anti-B. That means it's not blood type B, it's just A, not AB. Anti-RHD is agglutinating, right? This is anti-RHD. You see an attack, that means RHD was there for it to attack. So that means this blood is positive for the RHD glycoprotein. So you see that there is A because there's agglutination in the anti-A. There is RHD because there's agglutination in the RHD. There's no B because there's no agglutination in the B well. Okay. So this is a cartoon image. There's a control. You always have a control when you do these. The control should always show no agglutination. If you see agglutination in the control, the whole test is crap. It has to be done over. It means something else is wrong. So this whole test for this blood sample, the whole blood sample on the bottom is crap because the control was messed up. And then each of these rows is a different patient. Okay, so then the goal is to figure out what is the blood type of each patient. So and let's look at the first row, patient 1. Anti-A antibody doesn't attack, not blood type A. Anti-B antibody doesn't attack, not blood type B. If it's not A and it's not B, then it's O. So here's blood type O. Anti-D antibody does attack, positive for RHD. There is RHD there if the anti-RHD antibody is attacking it. All right, let's look at patient 2. No attack by the anti-A, which means there's no A. No attack by the anti-B, there's no B. No attack by the anti-D, there's no D. So if there's no A and there's no B to attack, it's O. If there's no RHD, it's negative for RHD, right? Okay, patient 3, anti-A. The anti-A antibody causes agglutination. That means the anti-A antibody is attacking. That means A is there because the anti-A antibody only attacks A. That's why it's called anti-A. So if anti-A antibody is active, there is A. Anti-B antibody not active, there's no B. Anti-D antibody is active, there is D. There is the RHD, so positive for RHD. I'm going to skip to the bottom here. I want to look at these bottom two. So this is 4, 5, 6, 7. So let's look at patient 7 and patient 8. So we won't go through the whole thing, but you get the idea, right? So here you have the anti-A antibody is active. That means it is blood type A. Anti-B antibody is also active. That means there's also glycoprotein B, which the anti-B antibody attacks. So now you see that this blood has the A glycoprotein, which is attacked by the anti-A antibody. It has the B glycoprotein, which is attacked by the anti-B antibody. And it has the RHD antibody. It's positive for RHD because it's attacked by the RHD antibody. And then the last one, patient 8, anti-A antibody is attacking. That means this person is blood type A. Anti-B antibody is also attacking, which means this person is also blood type B. RHD antibody is not attacking. This person is negative for RHD.